Seth and Don are very well connected when it comes to owners and the league meetings. They know people. These are how they get these stories out there. They talk to a lot of owners, personnel people, and it's very clear that there's a sense that the league wants Dan Snyder to sell this team. And you heard Al Michaels on the broadcast as well say, he's like, this is just.
I have the quote.
What's that?
Just my feeling. I think that what the league would love is for Snyder to sell the team. He's just become a major problem around the league, obviously.
And like Al Michaels is not talking to like janitors.
He ain't talking out his butt.
I know. Yeah. If Al Michaels is saying that on the Amazon Thursday night broadcast, he has
a reason,
very good reason to believe that that's what the league wants and what the league is trying to have happen. Did you guys read the story today, right? Like it's long.
Well, I love that Kirk Herbstreit just went dead silent. He's like, I cover 90% college football. I'm not getting into this.
Peace out.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the big things too is that it seemed like, so for better or for worse, you can, if you're an NFL owner, you are not going to be frowned upon by your fellow owners for losing football games, for doing things that society would frown upon, but you will be frowned upon if you lose money. And now Dan Snyder has been reported, as sort of everybody kind of knew, has really botched the attempt to try and get a new stadium. FedEx Field is the worst stadium in the league by a pretty wide margin. And Washington fans don't want to go there. The media setup is miserable. The fan setup is awful too. Remember the collapsing? Jalen Hurts almost got killed when the thing collapsed last year. Point being is that it seems like it's coming to a head. Dan's in the story too is like Dan Snyder's like maybe having owners and Goodell tailed by PIs and digging up dirt on all these guys and basically blackmailing, or is he bluffing? What was y'all's takeaway? I'm just curious, like takeaways from that, and or do you think it's hard to imagine Snyder selling unless he's absolutely compelled to.
My takeaway is that Snyder does not care that people hate him, and he loves owning the team. And he's always been sort of a lone wolf. Like, I don't think he's like, I don't know a lot about owners and how circles they run it, but I've had people tell me that he's like a weird dude. And like, he's even among billionaires, he's sort of like the weirdo of the bunch. So
I've seen him leave like owners meetings just by himself.
It's weird to me. Like, he made his own money. Like he earned his money in whatever line of work whatever widgets he was making. And then at 34, he bought the team. And just another example of someone who's extremely successful and one walk of life being completely ignorant how to run a football team. And then on top of that, coming off as a huge douchebag, just based on the reports we've read, and we haven't even talked about all the sexual misconduct stuff going on those reports that were never written down. Then we don't know how far and wide those things go. So, I don't know. Like, owners are about making money. Owners are also probably up to things that we don't know about, and they prefer that stuff not come out. And I think that has probably insulated Daniel Snyder to a large degree. But you can bet your ass that there's an opportunity to make more money, and that requires Daniel Snyder getting the old boot. 24 owners are going to vote his ass out. And I just don't think we're at that point yet. And we don't know why, but I have a guess. And, we'll see how it goes. But, the history is full of powerful people staying in power despite the things they've done.
And how many damning articles have we read about Dan Snyder without anything happening? I mean, the guy, I don't want to say he's Teflon. There's never been any sort of smoking gun that can take him down. He paid out a sexual harassment lawsuit, or he settled it. And so, like, he has all of these things. He had the workplace misconduct, which also involved sexual harassment. I mean, there are just all of these things that have happened either with him directly or under his watch, and absolutely nothing has changed. Maybe it's changed over the past 12 months, but it hasn't. It went a long time before that happened. We're talking over 20 years. And so if he has not had to sell the team by now, unless he is literally caught on camera doing something, I can't imagine he is going to be selling this team anytime.
And I think it says a whole bunch that he could walk away with what did the Broncos go for? $4 billion or something?
Yeah.
Is he the sole owner? There must be partners.
He bought out his minority owners recently.
So he can walk
Because
away.
they were trying to sue him.
Yeah.
He could walk away with billions of dollars, but he said, "Nah,
Washington is the sixth most valuable franchise.
I'm going to lean into this thing, take all the hate, bring it on. I'm going to be a pariah." He'd go retire on some island that he built out in the middle of the ocean if he wanted to, but he prefers to show up at this game looking like he just got pulled out from underneath the train where he'd been sleeping for 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know, man. It's
the other thing too
wild.
is like if you're like running an NFL franchise, it's one thing if you're like good, they never win. Like, at some point, aren't you like, just give me the $4 million, I'll go buy a basketball team?
Let me ask you this: how much do you believe the Carson Wentz stuff in the story, based on how vehemently Ron Rivera has since pushed back this evening?
I think it's probably closer to a middle ground, but I would assume that Daniel Snyder was pushing the Wentz thing.
Imagine this press conference if the Commanders had lost. Like, I feel like it would have taken a different tone, and you're allowed to be more defensive and more abrasive when you're coming off a win and you look smarter, and Wentz didn't cost you the game.
And I'll say, I've been sort of saying I don't think Ron Rivera was not that his seat wasn't hot, but that he wouldn't get fired just because he's built up so much cachet in the organization. The sense over the last couple of weeks is as they've continued to lose games, I think I was probably wrong there. I mean, I think Daniel Snyder's reemergence, and it's interesting in this piece,
he's not supposed to be running the team though.
That's what I'm saying. It's like NFL spokesman declined to answer questions about whether Snyder's suspension has ended, saying in a statement that Goodell's decisions have been, quote, based on a comprehensive workplace review conducted by Beth Wilkinson, and the grounds were identified in the public statements, blah, 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 blah. A league source says Goodell is operating on the premise that Snyder is still under active investigation and his limits imposed on him will continue. But it's like Snyder hasn't missed a game yet. It is like very clearly involved in like every aspect of this football team.
Well, he was supposed to give up, obviously, day-to-day control of team operations. That was supposed to be handled by his wife. But even in the statement that Rivera released on Thursday after the article came out, he said, "Hey, I went to the Snyder's house and talked to Dan and Tanya about Carson Wentz." Well, if Dan Snyder's not supposed to be involved, maybe he needs to like go to the basement while this conversation's happening, or maybe Ron says, "Hey, Tanya, why don't you come to the facility because we need to talk about this move we want to make." I mean, you're still admitting that Dan Snyder's involved when he shouldn't be involved. So, like, it's crazy that Roger Goodell and the league are trying to say, "Hey, we punished this guy," when in fact there's been no evidence besides the $10 million fine that he has been punished.
Breech, that's called gaslighting. No, you see him out there yelling and screaming at people. That's not him. That's something else. That's a figment of your imagination. And
the hologram. From two black holes,
right? It's the Will.i.am hologram. We're being gaslit because of all the other things beneath the surface that we don't yet know about. And push comes to shove, we'll see if Dan's bluffing or not. But I would imagine he probably has some dirt on these guys. I thought it was funny that Jerry Jones' name came up. Like Jerry Jones, I feel like all his business is already out there. Like I think we know everything that he's done with the party bus and all the other stuff. And he may not care. I don't know. But I don't know, man. It's. Rich people, when you're rich, you have money, you do all sorts of crazy things that poor people can't afford to do.
Look at Eric K made it. God, Billy, what a suck up.
Yeah, Billy knows what's up.
Oh, Billy knows who to suck up to now?
Yeah, good job, Billy.
That was fast.
In the Jerry Jones stuff in there too, it's like apparently Jerry's been kind of like Dan Snyder's trying to reach out to Jerry because my theory has always been that Jerry loves Dan Snyder because he will do whatever Jerry tells him to do. And he's a terrible owner whose team doesn't win football games.
Well, Chucky the doll just woke up because it sounds like he's turning on Jerry.
Right, exactly. Like Jerry's not answering his calls, not helping him out. And so like he's trying to reach out. There's also a thing in here about how Snyder's strategy is to, quote, run out the clock on the congressional and league investigations, betting that Democrats will lose control of the House in January, ending the committee's interest in his franchise, a person close to Snyder says, which is just like, I'm just gonna filibuster. Like physically filibuster this congressional investigation in my thing. But as Wickersham and Van Natta point out, the looming factor is the question of what Mary Jo White, the investigation, who's been investigating this for 9 months, what she finds about the alleged sexual assault of a woman on his plane in April 2009. That could be.
What about the previous sexual?
But that's the case he had already settled.
Right, but that's if they find something that he personally committed some type of sexual assault, then that's
the allegation though. That's already the allegation. That's allegedly why he settled the case. He said he settled the case because it was cheaper than going to court.
And then there's
Obviously,
the allegation that he tried to pay him $1 million not to interview with Beth Wilkinson.
well, I think when he settled that case, part of it had a gag order, so they weren't supposed to talk, but Wilkinson could have them break the gag order, but Snyder's legal team said no. And so that is kind of hazy.
I think my favorite part about this whole report was that find it real quick. It's like no one from the Washington team was allowed to speak with us on this story. However, they did refer us to a statement from multiple partners at a multinational law firm. Like, I mean, do you know those guys are billing like $1,000 an hour and they're writing up like statements to like defend Dan Snyder? It's crazy.
Well, I mean, Dan Snyder has FU money, and he's stressing the FU part of it as he goes through this process where, you talk about running out the clock. He's fine with being hated. It's just I don't know, man. I hope that guy can work through his issues and find some happiness, because clearly he's very unhappy, and he's appears to have hurt a lot of people through the course of his ownership of the team, from the fans to the women that worked in that organization. And I think Breech is right. Like, it doesn't matter what comes from this report from Beth Wilkinson. Ain't nothing going to change. It has to be something criminal where he actually gets arrested. And then, because the owners have to be sure that their laundry's not going to be aired out there. It's sort of like, not to bring up old stuff, but remember when Tiger Woods ran into the fire hydrant and all the stuff that came out of that? And not nary a golfer spoke up about, oh, this is weird, because the concern was that, okay, our laundry's going to be out there as well. And I think it's sort of just, again, it's like the Illuminati stuff, all this stuff that goes on in what's the Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman movie?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, it's that. It's like a bunch of Eyes Wide Shut craziness that random folks aren't privy to, and then you're like, what in the world is going on in that place?
And also tying his future to running out the clock on Congress and hoping the midterms go one way or the other. Just 538 runs the election projections. They have the House staying the same, a 30% chance that the Democrats win the House and the Senate, which, if that happens, then Snyder his plan didn't work. Right. And so he's literally hitching his wagon to something that has a 30% chance of failing. So it's just an insane plan that's your plan. Like,
what else is insane?
$1,000 amateur money for a lawyer? Is that right?
An hour?
Yeah.
No, that's
I've never paid one.
That's highfalutin.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty sizable hourly billing rate.
By the way, Billy just admitted that he's never seen Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, Billy hasn't seen anything. We
probably shouldn't be talking about it. Billy's not even.
We're gonna have a big time off season training regimen with Billy.
Brinson, by the way, Tom mentioned in the
comments.
Fired.
HR will be calling us if we make Billy watch that.
All right, Breech, quit talking for a second. Tom mentioned in the comment that Billy, can you thank Brady, Billy, and Brinson both for the donation to the City Dogs and City Kitties?
City Kitties.
Tom matched it $200.
Yeah, Tom said in his iTunes review that he would match it, and so. Thank you for doing that. We have the Jets run the table.
Wait, what charity did Brady end up?
City Dogs and City Kitties of DC.
Is that a New York? Of what?
DC. District of Columbia.
Basically, when shelters are overrun and they're having to euthanize the various dogs or cats, this charity, and we like dug through the financial. We wanted to vet it, and not like just donate like $1,000 to Breeze.
Right.
The Brinson Beer Fund.
Yeah, right.
Shout out to one of our followers that at halftime of this game, when 0 touchdowns had been scored, said that me and Brinson should donate $1,000 every time a Thursday night touchdown gets scored in October. It was at 0.
Yeah.
At the time of the game.
By the way, it's great that you guys are helping the dogs and cats, but Brady could have saved a lot of money if he had said for every win that the Bears pull off, because he'd be a richer man by the end of the season.
Bears
fans Jets play the Bears, I think.
I think the Jets are going to win, which is bad news for Brady.
This is one more thing about the Snyder thing. I love this paragraph.
Sorry,
just do a just read the whole thing, Brinson.
It's like a team spokesperson called it, quote, simply ridiculous and utterly false, end quote, that Snyder ever said that he could blow up the league, or that the league, quote, can't F, end quote, with him, or that, quote, the NFL is a mafia, end quote, or all, quote, all owners hate each other, end quote. It's like He never said those specific things. That's ridiculous. But he very clearly said.
I'm trying to think, like, who is Dan Snyder? Because he came into the league as like a doughy-eyed guy, like a sort of naive young dude, 34 years old, and now he just sort of, his testes dropped, and all of a sudden he got a little chest on his hair. Now he's
in that story too. They said that like when he was trying to push to get FedEx Field to get the Super Bowl.
He crapped all over the Bidwells.
And he's just like thrashing the Bidwells for being like cheap and like all just crazy.
And that was actually 3 years into his ownership. So that was 4 years, 2003. So he didn't waste much time. Clarence, by the way, in the comments says we should donate to Costanza's Human Fund.
I love the Human Fund.
And imagine that FedEx Field has never been talked about for another Super Bowl before or since. So that was it. That was his window.
All right. So it is.
By the way, somebody says Brady just looked under the couch cushions for change. Yeah, Brady covered the fees for the donation too. Like Brady's. I credit Brady for his surprisingly quick need to donate $1,000 and a willingness to do it.
He's moving some money around. So it is October 14th, 2022. October 14th, 2025. Breech. Does Dan Snyder own the Commodores?
He owns 2 teams. That's how crazy this. No, he's still going to own them.
3 years from now, Brinson.
I'm going to say no.
It ain't going to be because he gave it up. They're going to have to push him out.
Yeah. It's going to be because something comes out of this investigation from Mary Jo White, or the owners.
It's going to have to be bad.
Or the owners find out that he's been like doing. You remember somebody accused him of like cheat, like basically like embezzling off like the ticket sales and like not giving.
Where did that go? Where did that story go? I mean, I'm telling you, he's got dirt. He's got a laundry list of stuff he's looking to put out there. Let me ask you this: would you rather him own the team in 3 years and then know all the dirt that he has in his little secret book, or would you rather?
He can have the team for 40 years if I get these dossiers. What do you think? Like the most, like I mean, like
it's gonna be crazy. It is gonna be some off the wall. It's gonna be like some Steel dossier level craziness.
Because like the stuff that billionaires do,
exactly,
and like these are like football billionaires who, yeah, I mean, like what do we think he has on Goodell? Like, what if he had like he could prove that Goodell, like Deflategate and Spygate, like Goodell orchestrated him to take down the Patriots and Belichick. Like that would be fun.
That'd be like the anti-Patriots.
Yeah,
because like the Browns, they were at the Browns game trying to cheat on the Bengals. Is that what it was, Breech? I can't remember the details of that.
Oh yeah, when they taped the Bengals.
Yeah, they taped it. Can you imagine taping the Bengals and not doing
the
it
bad
as a joke?
the Bengals who were horrible.
They were terrible.
God, I forgot about this. Under Snyder, the team sued season ticket holders who were unable to pay during the Great Recession in the late 2000s.
Hey,
I mean, it's like the economy has collapsed, and Dan Snyder's suing season ticket holders who just couldn't pay, like during the greatest financial crisis of our lifetimes. Partway through the 2009 season, Snyder temporarily banned all signs from FedEx Field.
It is like a little mini dictatorship too. Like it's like you sort of walk into North Korea when you go inside the stadium. Yeah. There's a lot of things that you can't do that you can do on the outside. But hey, the man wanted the team. He got it, and he appears to be staying there. Breech thinks so. I think he's staying there too. Like I don't know what would have to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, what has to happen? The man's gonna have to, stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody.
In 2004, Snyder brokered a deal with the National Park Service to remove old growth trees from the 200 feet of national parkland behind his.
That was a huge. I remember that. What year was that?
It's 2004. This guy's
Oh yeah, I was living in DC then. I remember that being a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean it's just unbelievable. And then the workplace stuff, the financial. I mean,
if you're ranking the worst owners in the NFL, just being the worst people, he's got to be at the top of the list, right?
I don't even know who's close second.
Right, like I mean, I was
running
the Panthers, and like Jimmy Haslam's terrible too, but like Dan Snyder, like not only does his team suck, like he does just everything, just flaunting it in the faces.
Pause moves, exactly.
He'll outlast us at CBS,
100%.
Or cockroaches, baby.
He's gonna buy the Pick Six podcast just to fire Brinson.
That's fine. Bring it on.